Jordan Beazle, will you please come forward and read your paper first?
I'm Jordan Beazle. I think somebody about the Alexandria Fair. It was one great place. Do I hear 20? I got 20. Now 25. Do I hear 30? Going once, going twice. So, to bidder number 9. You would hear these very words if you walked into the Alexandria Fair. The Alexandria Fair is a very important piece of Campbell County history. It has been here for more than 160 years. People come from all around to see the fair. It is important to know how this fair came to be, how it has changed throughout the years, and its impact on Campbell County. In 1856, a group of farmers came together in the old Campbell County Courthouse to create the first agricultural society of Campbell County, Kentucky. Through an election, Benjamin Smith was chosen as president, Thomas L. Jones as vice president, Benjamin Beal as secretary, George W. Reilly as treasurer, Edwin Moyne, Alexander Codwell, Joseph Stroud, Charles Mernon, James T. Berry, Colonel James Taylor, John Hattertine, Frank Spielman, Henry Blatter, and Dr. H.K. Ratchford as the managers. These men wanted a yearly event where farmers could come for their benefit and show off their livestock. They also wanted people to be able to come and share their farm produce, handiwork, and other commodities. Premiums or prizes were given to the best animals, produce, and handiwork. So the Agricultural Society of Campbell County, Kentucky was granted 10 acres of land for the fair and 25,000 feet of hemlock lumber for the construction of the fairground. After land and wood were purchased, a 7-foot-high fence was built around the perimeter of the fairground. They also built an amphitheater, a grandstand, and a horse and cattle barn with 75 stalls. Following the completion of the fairground, they laid the road, which is the same one today. October 14th through 16th, 1856 were the dates set for the very first Alexandria Fair. The first fair went so well that the board voted it for be an annual event and for it to last for 1 week. The fair was going strong until the Civil War era. Since Kentucky was a border state between the North and the South during the Civil War, there was tension between the fair participants during the war. Fair attendance and participation returned to normal back after the war, though. To boost the Alexandria Fair, Frank Spielman created Floral Hall, better known as Exhibit Hall, in 1868, where you could walk through to view produce and handiwork. In 1875, the Silver Cornet Band of Richmond, Ohio, was a big attraction for the fair. The creation of the automobile in 1885 expanded attendance to people from all over Cincinnati and northern Kentucky. World War I caused the fair to lose revenue. Men had to enlist in the army, which reduced family income. This meant that families did not have the extra money to spend at the fair. However, under the leadership of George Mook and Herman Carman, the fair's popularity returned. Close to the end of the war, and during the Great Depression, the fair saw a great increase in visitors because it was a place for people to come and enjoy the low-priced entertainment and food. Thanks to the fine saddled horses, cattle, livestock, and exhibits, the fair steadily grew. Another reason for its success was the dedication of the fairgoers. People would come early one day, stay until dark, then return early the next morning. Electric lights were not installed until the 1930s. With the addition of the lighting, the fair could now stay open longer, and people could stay into the night and watch more events and entertainment. In 1947, the Fair Board decided to create more improvements. Among these improvements including building a new grandstand for horse shows and installing city water lines in 1958. Until this time, the fair had been getting its water from cisterns and water trucks. After water lines were placed, the fair had an endless supply of water. Beginning in the 1960s, other improvements were made, such as creating a beauty contest, a greased pig contest, jackrabbit chases, and visit by local celebrities. During the greased pig contest, a contestant had to catch a greased pig that ran around the horse arena. This brightened the fair with excitement and enjoyment for people of all ages. A necessary improvement came in 1956 with the creation of restrooms. However, the Alexandria Fair suffered a setback in 1972 when the grandstand burnt down. This led to an all-new concrete grandstand. In addition to the construction to the new grandstand, the Fair Board decided to build a new dining and exhibit hall. Today, the Alexandria Fair is still going strong, and people come far and wide to enjoy this event with family and friends. The fair starts with a parade that begins at the Campbell County Middle School's parking lot and continues to the fairgrounds. There are many different floats, and some throw candy teal. The parade is what kicks off the fair. Some of the fair's most popular attractions are the Demolition Derby, where cars come out and ram into each other until one is still operational. Another one is the horse show. Riders can come out and show off their horses at a race and take part in all kinds of events with horses. Two more family favorites are the Grease Pig Contest and the Chicken Run. In the Chicken Run, you have to run and catch a chicken to keep. The Grease Pig Contest hasn't changed much since they started, but is still a favorite attraction. Aside from the agricultural events, the fair also has carnival rides, games, and mini shops. The Alexandria Fair is one of Campbell County's most important events. It has come a long way since 1856, when its founders came together to form the first agricultural society of Campbell County. From the beginning in 1856 to today, the fair has provided family fun and profit for farmers for over 160 years. Everyone enjoys the fair, and it just keeps growing. Even though the fair has changed some over the years, with new board members, new events, and entertainment, and growing numbers, it is still one great place.
I'm going to present you with a Staples gift card and prize money of $100.
My essay on Ken's Barbershop. Buzz, buzz, snip, snip. That is what you hear when you walk in Ken's Barbershop. Ken welcomes you and lets you buy a drink and sit and talk to him as you wait your turn. You can look at his collection of sports, memorabilia, or posters that people made and gave to him. Ken's Barbershop has been a part of Newport for 53 years. Ken grew up in Newport and wanted his business to be there too. The owner is Kenneth Lewis Hart. Ken was born on October 20th, 1943. He grew up in Newport and attended several schools. He went to 10th Street School for grades 1 through 4th and then to York Street School. He also went to Newport Junior High. He started at Southgate Public High School, but ended up at Newport Central Catholic High School and graduated in 1961. He knew after high school he wanted to be a barber, so he went to barber school at Moeller Barber College for 8 months. Barber school was not easy. He worked 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. After college, Ken had an apprenticeship at Cow's on 9th Street in Newport in 1962. He completed his apprenticeship and went to work for Shorty's Barbershop. He worked for them until he took over the shop. He stayed in the same place, but business was bad, so he had moved to his current location on 11th Street. When he moved, he decided to change the name because he didn't like the name Shorty's. He changed the name to Ken's Barbershop. The day he opened the shop on 11th Street, everybody was lined up in front of his place. His business already changed. His new location allowed him to be on the bus line in Newport and Covington. His bus business continued to grow for several years. Ken is a big fan of sports, and he has all kinds of sport stuff hanging on his walls. He has UK and Reds bobbleheads and a poster of Pete Rose. There are all kinds of things that people made for him all around the world. There is a big sign made out of wood that says Ken's Barber Shop, established in 1963. His whole shop is covered with memories throughout his 53 years of business. Ken uses his walls to help relax customers and allow them to enjoy a walk down memory lane every time they get a haircut. The favorite thing he says about being a barber is getting to talk to everyone. He said that he always worked alone since he bought the company. He enjoyed not having to worry about training or working with other barbers. He said the most common haircut he does is a regular men's haircut. He can do any man's haircut, and remembers in the 1960s and 1970s the flat top haircut was the most popular. Ken also offers beard trimming. Ken just enjoys talking, making sport predictions, and connection with customers. Ken married his wife, but she passed away last year. They have 3 sons and 8 children. He loved to watch his kids participate in sports, and now he gets to watch his grandkids. He will see Ken at a number of different sporting events throughout the year. His favorite hobby is to fish. He likes to learn new techniques for fishing from customers. He likes to fish in farm ponds, and his biggest bass he ever caught was in a farm pond. A picture of him and the bass is in his barbershop. Ken's business keeps him busy. He worked 6 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, from 8 to 6, for 47 years. 6 years ago, Ken cut his days to Tuesday through Friday, from 8 to 6. And 3 years ago, he cut them to Tuesday to Thursday, from 8 to 5:30. He says he won't consider himself retired until he cuts back to a 1 day a week. He wants to keep cutting hair as long as he can because he enjoys spending time with people. Ken was acknowledged in 2013 by the mayor and the Board of Commissioners for his continued business in Newport. Ken couldn't imagine working anywhere else. He has built a
Just sound it out.
Spell it. Successful? No? Spell it out.
success.
There you go.
Clientele.
That's a hard word.
And has become a positive business in the community, and he was surprised by this recognition. My grandpa has been going to Ken's since he started cutting hair. Ken has been good friends with my grandpa since high school. My grandpa goes to Ken so he can talk to him and catch up on things that have happened. Grandpa can remember how he has depended on Ken for his haircuts. He said Ken is a great barber and friend. He not only cuts my hair, but also provides his customers with an ear to listen and a support. I am sure that there are many customers just like my grandpa. Can touch the lives of the men who sit in his chair. People that come to Ken's for a haircut will return about 60% of the time. If they don't come back for another haircut, they come back to see Ken and see how he is doing. They just love how he talks to them and how he will give you his whole opinion and how he sticks with it all the way. Ken always wanted to be a barber. His inspiration came from the guy that cut his hair when he was a kid. He wanted to be like him because that guy was nice. Ken always looked up to him and wanted to pursue a job he loved. Ken has done this and inspired and cared for so many people that have sat in his chair. Ken may not be big, but his business has had a big impact on Newport, Kentucky. I enjoy going down with my grandpa and getting my hair cut by Ken too. There are not many barber shops left, and Ken's should be one remembered and appreciated for years to come.
A gift card from Staples and $50 prize money for the rest of
Rachel Cole.
Ken,
Yeah.
maybe we should have Ken the barber stand up.
My name is Rachel Poole, and I did my essay on the Wesley Chapel Church. Usually when a person walks through an old cemetery, they might feel despair or sense an eerie aura. Yet when I walk through the cemetery where Wesley Chapel Church once stood, all I feel is inspiration to work with others in my community. This church, formerly known as Wesley Methodist Episcopal Church, but more commonly known simply as Wesley Chapel Church, sat in an intersection between three roads: Flag Springs Turnpike, which is Kentucky Route 10, Shawgetts Road, and, of course, Wesley Chapel Road. Though the church, or rather the concrete slab that used to be the floor, is no longer in use, it is of both historical and present-day significance to Campbell County because through its history, construction, and future reconstruction of its memorial, it has and will continue to teach the community's people to work together. The church site has been teaching local residents to work together for well over 100 years. The first church building was constructed around 1830 when the congregation was first organized. It was a log cabin covered in clapboards and sat near the church that was to be built next. Reverend James N. Jolly, a Brook Mason and Baptist minister, took it upon himself to oversee the people constructing the second church building in 1856. This church, which measured 30 by 40 feet and was roughly 14 feet high, was made of bricks. It had 4 windows that were about 9 feet high. Instead of one front door, there were 2, one for the men and one for the women. This was the custom at the time the church was built. Though it took a large amount of work to complete the building, residents in the area were able to come together to get the job done. The church later became a Union Army headquarters during the American Civil War. Within the church's walls, people gathered to work towards the Union war cause. Long after the war ended, the church continued to hold services. In late 1993, these services were discontinued because of a heavy rain that caused significant damage to the church. The downpour soaked through the bricks, which were not fired as hard as today's bricks, and caused about two-thirds of the structure's exterior wall to cave in. Cora Saby, a long-standing member of the church, wanted to rebuild. However, the Wesley Chapel United Methodist Church headquarters, which owned the church, had already closed the building and resolved that it should be demolished. In another example of collective action involving the church, the Campbell County Historical Society joined with a group of former church members and launched a public campaign to save the church. The campaign asked for donations by ways of a newspaper article in the Fallon Outlook. As a result of their collective efforts, the Wesley Chapel United Methodist Church agreed to sell the church to the cemetery board for $1. Repairing the exterior of a nearly 140-year-old building was not an easy endeavor. It was going to cost a small fortune, and the Historical Society and a group of church members understood that. To pay for the restoration, residents from California and other areas surrounding the church contributed money to the cause. Some who were unable to donate money donated their time, as the self-reliant farming communities that surround the church contain many people who are both willing and able to give their labor to the project. In 1994, local volunteers and a few professionals were able to join together to complete the exterior restoration, repairing the wall. Unfortunately, the interior of the church was still in shambles. This became a problem when, in 2004, a local woman wanted to get married inside the church. She and her future husband turned to the community for help. Once again, people pulled together and the funds for materials and contractors were raised. That, combined with the assistance of local volunteers, was enough to repair the inside of the church. The wedding took place. From 1830 to just a little over a decade ago, the Wesley Chapel church site has been teaching the people of Campbell County to work together for almost 175 years. However, it didn't stop there. On March 2nd, 2012, a massive tornado ripped through the area, causing tremendous damage to the church. Walls collapsed and the roof was completely torn off. Wood, metal shrapnel from the church's ceiling, and glass shards littered the area surrounding the church. The original church bell from 1892 was found lying in the churchyard with its yoke broken. The keystone that was on the church, also found in the yard, was surprisingly still in one piece. It seemed as if the only things that somehow managed to stay intact were, oddly, grave decorations. They were the only bit of color in a place that was now gray and broken. Despite the church's long history of overcoming adversity, this time there was no hope of repairing the building. In addition to the church, roughly 200 houses were damaged and 60 were totally destroyed, so funds and volunteer assistance were more desperately needed elsewhere. Yet, the church still played a valuable role in healing the community. Victims seeking help went to the church site, where a group of people parked a van next to where the church once stood and handed out hot coffee, sandwiches, and other provisions. Even through its tragic destruction, the Wesley Chapel Church has managed to bring the community together. Afterwards, it took about 2 months to clear the tattered remains of the church from the site. The bare concrete slab and a few stray pieces of tin that were caught high in the trees were the only things that remained. Dorothy Cool, a lifelong resident of Campbell County for 77 years, whose husband of 53 years is buried at the church, was one of the volunteers to help with the cleanup. Everybody pitched in, she said. Volunteers and other citizens who held the church close to their hearts took home some bricks that were salvaged from the rubble, thinking that these bricks were the only things that they'd have left by which to remember the church. They were wrong. Currently, a group of volunteers who call themselves the Friends of Wesley Chapel are working with the cemetery board of directors to construct a memorial for the church. There will be a tower that will hold the original church bell, though since the yoke is broken and cannot be welded, it will sit rather than hang. The memorial will also consist of the old keystone that is inscribed with Wesley Chapel M.E. South, where chapel is misspelled with an extra P. M.E. stands for Methodist Episcopal. After the tornado, a mass mailing was sent out to the people in the California and Peach Grove areas asking for donations to help fund the memorial. A fundraiser was also held at which local residents pitched in to donate items for raffle prizes, listen to music performed by a local bluegrass band, and staff the event. Yet again, the Campbell County community worked together and was able to raise a large portion of the money required, and efforts are continually ongoing until the rest is raised. Dorothy Cool, who is also a member of the Friends of Wesley Chapel, says that the memorial will hopefully be completed in 2018. Meanwhile, the Friends of Wesley Chapel are doing voluntary yard work in the general upkeep of the church site and cemetery. In conclusion, the Wesley Chapel church site has immense historical and present-day significance to the Campbell County and its people. The church's history, destruction, and future reconstruction of its memorial have taught and will continue to teach our residents to work together towards a common purpose or goal. Some people want to know the secret of why this church means so much to us, the secret of how we are still able to care and put effort into making sure it is remembered. As Sam Wilson once said, we're all working together. That's the secret.
Great. I learned some things from that essay. We have a gift card from Staples and a $75 prize check.
And a couple of our married here are sitting right over there.
Oh, okay.
Brian Tweez.
I'm Randy. Bang, bang, bang. These are some of the sounds that you hear at the Bob White Club. The Bob White Club is a club where you can have some fun, do some shooting and some summer trap, winter trap, archery, rifle, pistol, fishing, hunting, camping, horseshoes, and air rifles. The Bob White Club is located on 10446 West Looking Pike. The club started in 1932 by a couple of Campbell County sportsmen that wanted to have some shooting practice. They bought some clay pigeons and went to Dayton Pike at Lincoln Road near the Dayton-Fort Thomas city limits. The word spread out and a crowd of people ended up coming and had a great time. They decided to arrange another day to shoot. The club's first meeting was in a log cabin located at the corner of Grandview Avenue. Most of the people that showed up were hunters and trap shooters, so they named the club Game Bird. Later that year, they designed a symbol that is still used today that was picked on October 16, 1933. The symbol has a bird and says, "Restore Wildlife" on it. Throughout the group, they suggested to start a bird dog club. They contacted all of the bird dog owners throughout Fort Thomas. The founders of the bird dog club were Clinton L. Smith and Phil D. Williams. They had a meeting in Clinton's basement and named it the Dixie Bird Dog Club of Fort Thomas. The Dixie Bird Dog Club became popular and people got a lot of memberships. For the first 6 months, they had meetings at member houses, but then they moved to Fort Thomas city buildings. After about a year, Colonel Morrell joined the club, so that they moved to Fort Thomas Army Post. The 1930s were good years for the Bob White Club. They grew bigger and a lot of people got memberships to the club. In 1935, the club became popular of newly formed League of Kentucky Sportsmen and still is today. The club was chartered as a non-profit corporation in Campbell County on September 21, 1936. In the mid-1930s, people participated in trap and old rifle shooting at the Gill High Club on Licking River, Newport. The facility was located behind the old steel mill but was washed out by the great 1937 flood. By the time the Bob White Club membership reached 100 people, they had a 10-acre flatwood area on Licking Pike in southern Campbell County owned by the club member Cliff Gosney. The flatwood facility included a cabin, lake, and picnic grounds were leased by the club from 1938 to 1939. The lake was filled with bass, bluegill, and crappie. Fishing and trap shooting were the main activities at Flatwood. It is said that many people of the Cincinnati Reds championship teams were members of the club during those years. The club also had croquet as a relaxing activity at the club. In 1939, the club was petitioned by the state and federal governments to upgrade to Highway 27 through Campbell County. All club members were rewarded by less travel time to the club grounds. In 1940, the club voted to move to North Flatwoods, a 44-acre farm on Lickert Road in Clareville that was owned by R.E. Gray. In 1946, the club raised funds by selling a $100 gift certificate to buy a mostly wooded 99-acre Smith Dairy Farm on Licking Pike in Clareville. They had to get a bank loan to construct 2 lakes that were created in 1947 by Northern Dams near the dairy barn. The dairy barn was converted into a clubhouse and dance hall that overlooked the 8.5-acre lake. Facilities have been developed over years. Are two lighted trap ranges, trap house, and food and drink stand, and a playground and picnic area. Most of the facilities were done by club members. More lakes were dug out in the wooded area in 1968 and 1978. All lakes are carefully taken care of to maximize their game fishing. Bob White Club has produced 4 to 6 pound bass every year, and they are stocked with channel catfish. By 1969, the club had won awards in rifle shooting and 5th District Federation of Kentucky Sportsmen Fair 18 years in a row. They also won the casting competition the 4th year in a row and won trap shooting 3 years in a row. In the years 1973 and 1981, the League of Kentucky Sportsmen and Kentucky Wildlife Federation Foundation honored the Bob White Club as a conservation organization of the year. The club has cited for the accounting program in the grounds of Fayetteville, for the accomplishments in junior conservation and its role of being good citizens of the county. Over the years, states and local law enforcement have been using the rifle and pistol range for training and competition. The most popular events of all was the Children's Handicap Fishing Derby. The children are usually filled with people every weekend of the year. The hunting that the club does is not actually done on the club grounds. They hunt on different grounds. A large variety of shooters come from all over the country, including professional shooters and even new shooters. The event that farmers like is going on crow hunts. They shoot crows for practice and so that they won't eat all the farmers' crops. The Bob White Club is still running today. In this I talked about the history of the Bob White Club and all the locations it moved to. The Bob White Club impacted Campbell County because it gives little kids a place to shoot guns and get the orange cards. They have trainings for your orange card and you can still go and get a membership. They are still located on Licking Pike next to Campbell County High School. They still have track and rifle practice if you want to go. They have memberships meeting once every month at the club. If you go on their website, you can see the dates of all upcoming meetings. If you want to have a good time shooting guns, I'd go to the Bob White Club.
Something in this essay also, a gift card from Staples and a check for $25. Okay, good. I wanted to read. There were 23 junior essays submitted, and I think that's more than we've had in a long time, isn't it? And 19 from St. Peter and Paul, 4 from Campbell County Middle School. The judges were asked to choose 4 winners, 1, 2, 3, and honorable mention. And the winners are, and you heard them, a couple of them's already left for ball practice or something. Jordan Beazle was first place, Rachel Poole second, Mitchell Wells third, and then Ryan Tweehu's fourth. And the judges, some of these pretty good judges here, Jonathan Kolick, Andrea Watkins, and Jessica Heinlein. And I understand the judges said, wow, you had some pretty good essays going there. So you all can be really proud of yourself, and your parents be proud of this.
Are either of the teachers here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Randy Wells?
Yes.
From St. Peter and Paul?
Yes.
See, that's such a good activity. Put that together and then stand in front of all these grown-ups. So thank you for supporting the children in that. And by the way, the gift is in memory of Frank Steely, Dr. Frank Steely, who was history at NKU and its first president. And this is the sort of thing you would think is really wonderful. So I'm glad to do it for them and for.
All right, why don't we have the winners stand up one more time? Somebody give them a round of applause. This time we're going to get ready to start our business meetings. For those who came to read, if you need to leave, you may leave now if you like. We're going to take a 5-minute break and then we'll start the business meeting. All right, we're going to go ahead and do our business meeting. First, I want to thank the City of Wilder for allowing us to use their facility here tonight. It appears that we may have outgrown it. We had over 60 people here tonight. We don't have space for 60 people here, so I may have to look for a different place for next year. I'm not sure how we're going to do that. I want to also thank our guests and visitors who came to see us tonight. We have over 60 people here, I said. Thank everybody for bringing food. Please take home your containers. We have no way of keeping the food here, so please take home what's left over and enjoy it at your house. We can't do anything with it here later on. Shirley Jensen is filming with us tonight again. Our essay winners did a great job. I'm very impressed with their work. We'll do our business meeting in a moment, but first I'm going to do our Volunteer of the Year. Each year we choose somebody that is shows excellence in helping out the Historical Society, perseverance, and somebody who truly enjoys what they're doing. This year's recipient is just one of those kind of people that this person has been with us a very long time. He has been a very helpful in many regards, but you'll know who it is in just a moment, because I'm going to say is that he's been working with cemeteries for a long time. Margaret, come on up. Okay, it reads, for your years of service and dedication to the Board of Directors, for his research and cataloging of our many cemeteries, and for the promotion and preservation of history in Campbell County this 9th day of June 2016. Congratulations.
Well, I'm humbled. The reality is there's a lot of folks that do a lot of things for the Historical Society behind the scenes. And I think my project, I kind of got involved in that, and I said, you know, we've got all these books with the cemeteries listed, and you got 2 names or 3 names that are in different books. In about 6 months, I'll have this straightened out, and then I'll move to the next project. That was about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I'm further behind than the day I started. But the reality is we kept finding more cemeteries, and Buck Seibert and I were out there in the bushes and digging. And I think the most misunderstood thing about what we were trying to do, I've had folks say, what do you do if you find a body? No, the only thing we ever want to find is a tombstone maybe 6 inches under the ground, or a marker or something like that, and that's what we were digging for. And then we would kind of go from there, and then Buck would do a lot of research as far as who the person was and what it. So I'm going to say this about this year. It's been somewhat of a successful. We've got 2 or 3 cemeteries that have been rehabbed and rebuilt. We've got some that they've actually, when we told folks, you got a cemetery on your property, can we have permission to look for it? Well, no, there's no cemetery. Well, we eventually convinced them, and so some of those folks have put fences around them now, and they've got pear trees growing, and there's a flagpole on the one on Persimmon Grove Pike, and the one behind the Southern States has been restored by the church, St. Paul United Church of Christ. And they took a great deal of effort. So the first thing that happened is we brought it to their attention, and then good things happened after that. The VFW in Alexandria is maintaining the Robert Shaw Cemetery, which is on Lick Branch and Lick Branch and Grandview. And so at least somebody's mowing it now. And the young lady mentioned Wesley Chapel. There's a handful of folks that show up with a lawnmower to help out there. So, and I want to say something about a guy with a lawnmower. Ken has personally taken it upon himself to keep the Grand Slick area free from litter and whatever. And he's got a park out there that he does by himself, and he mows the grass. And Jan mentioned the other day at the meeting, I saw this guy in a yellow suit dodging traffic. Now, we don't have to dodge traffic, and I want to say thanks, Ken, for what you do out there, and thank you for this honor.
Okay, we're going to move on with our regular business meeting now. We're going to do the treasurer's report first.
All right, we started May with a balance of $17,412.39. We took in about $150 in dues, had another donation for our scanner project, and some copies, and we are up to 76 cents in interest, I'll have you know. Wow. For a grand total of $263.76 of income. We spent some money last month, though. If you haven't been up to the office, you really need to see what's happened in that veterans room, in that front room. It is just looking spectacular now. It's all been painted. It's all been cleaned up. There's pictures on the wall. And where's Pam?
She had to go.
Oh, did she leave? Oh. Pam and Glenn have done just a phenomenal job of putting that all together. So we spent some money there, a couple $100. we bought a projector last month. We voted as a board that it was something we needed. We found ourselves in a predicament on a couple of occasions where we did not have a projector that somebody needed
Explain what
to
that
make a
projector is.
presentation. It's for making presentations at the meetings. I know the one that we ran into a real problem with was when Don Tolzman came and talked to us about the German immigrants. We didn't have projector, he didn't have projector, and it was like, what are we gonna do? We finally borrowed one from Wilder, I think, didn't we?
Yes.
Well, we don't want to be in that situation anymore, so we went ahead and bought one, and we got a screen along with it for no charge. Jan spent $63 mailing out the newsletter to everybody, so we spent $785.16. Left us with a balance of $16,890.99, and the balance in the scanner fund right now is $3,210. So we're moving ahead.
Great, thank you. Dan, you want to say last month's, Dan Christian? Okay.
Okay, last month we met at the Newport Public Library. Our guest speaker for the evening was Pam Casebolt, who gave a talk on the Italians in Newport. For our treasurer's report, we had $17,412.39 in the treasury. We had 225 members as of last month. The May issue of the newsletter went out, and Jan reported that the next issue will be the September issue, which will go out at the end of August. We had 6,114 pictures in our photo albums that Steve's been working on. We have 13,302 veterans records in our files. And we had a report on Regional History Day, the fact that we're going to need to move that to a new location next year. And then one of the locations under consideration was the Boone County Library. And also the format of that event may need to change depending upon the location that we choose for next year. Under events, the organization received a donation of some dentistry equipment. The donation consists of a dentist chair and some drill components, which, by the way, we still need to get into the museum. And finally, the organization purchased a new projector that can be used for the Society's meetings and presentations. And that was it.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Our paid membership right now, as of today, is 231. Richard, anything on gifts and donations?
Pam Casebolt donated us a copy of her book, Italians in Greater Cincinnati. Mike Stoll gave us a few copies of the Newport High School Alumni Association newsletter. Carolyn Stewart mailed us a small file with some notes on the Horsfall family. She's done some research, so if anybody's working on the Horsfall family, I just added that to our family files. And then Pearl gave us some copies of a really neat newsletter called The Hot Dog. It was from the Cote-William area of Newport in 1944, 1945. They were newsletters that local people put together and gave to and mailed to family members overseas, and the family members overseas would send back responses, tell how they were doing. So we got about 11 volumes of that from 1944 and 45, trying to figure out how to put it on display so it's easy to see. Some of them are on legal-size paper, so it won't fit in the binder, but really neat local history item. Yes.
Great, thank you. Jan, anything on newsletter?
Well, as already reported, the next newsletter will be out at hopefully the end of August. It'll be your September issue. It will have the other two essays that you heard here tonight. Two of them were already in, so you won't have to read that section because you've heard them yourself. But for those who couldn't be here, and please read the judges' comments about these student essays, because they were really impressed, and they were judges from NKU, and they are tough. I mean, I could not, I'm a retired teacher, and I'm not as tough on them as they are. They really are, if you get a compliment from them, it's well deserved. So those other two will be in there. We got, kind of going into the next thing on communications. So in the last newsletter, I put we had found 2 old Bibles, and I listed the names of the families, and we saved, you know, we don't keep all family Bibles anymore, but we keep the information that's recorded in them. Somebody called and said they'd like to have that information. So I'm in the process of scanning those Bible records and sending it to this person who called us. So if you have queries to put in about family, who knows, you might get a response from some other reader that knows about your question. I will also like to have articles by August the 1st. You don't have to be a board member to write an article. Daryl writes for me, Bob writes for me. Other people do that are not current board members, so you don't have to be on the board, and don't worry if your writing isn't perfect. I can edit it, that's what I am, I'm the editor, so I can clean it up or whatever. If you've got a good family story you'd like to see in the newsletter, send it to me.
Thank you. Yeah, as you mentioned the family Bibles, we ran into several problems when we first started out with people giving us a family Bible only to find out the rest of the family didn't know that it was given to us. They wanted it back. And you know, it got a shouting match and a bunch of things went on, so we made our decision that we don't want family Bibles. We want the information. It should go stay in the family. It doesn't have any place sitting up in our shelves someplace. So if you have some information in the Bible you'd like to share with us, we'd be glad to take it, but don't give us the Bible. Marvin, a cemetery report. We talk about
We pretty well covered everything that's happened.
Saddle Ridge. We'll talk about Saddle Ridge for a moment.
Okay, yeah. Recently, Buck and I were pleased to be asked about the cemetery that is on Saddle Ridge. And it's actually the Dickens Cemetery. He's a Revolutionary War patriot and soldier, and his son-in-law was in the War of 1812. Well, over the years, that cemetery has become such a controversial thing. Some of the folks in that subdivision were told the graves were moved. They were pretty happy about that. And then later on we found out the stones had been moved. And the graves are probably still where they were. And we had a meeting with the folks who are on the board of directors or the Homeowners Association board. And they have agreed to put a placard or some type of thing designating that a cemetery was on this property and with the names of those who are buried. And that's kind of, I'll say, closure for some of us. We don't want those cemeteries to disappear, and we don't want them to become oblivious that nobody cares. So it was a very good meeting that we had with those folks. They were kind of anxious to help us and lead in this direction. And they're getting a lot of support from the people in the community. So a good meeting, and I think eventually there'll be a placard out there along Persimmon Grove Pike. Thank you.
We had that same resolution with a couple other cemeteries over the years that fell in the same situation where somebody had done something with the cemetery, paved over top of it or whatever. And we made a resolution for a couple of them. All of them aren't that way. We still have a few that, well, we won't go into that tonight, but it was, all of them don't end up that way, but it's nice if we do have that happen once in a while. Mike, Stahl, do you have anything on Evergreen?
Yeah, the Friends of Evergreen had their first annual tour last month. Had about 50 people show up to be given a tour, and Scott gave them. If you haven't been out there lately, one of the Eagle Scouts took it on a project to put signs up at some of the key prominent people's graves, and he did a good job on it. In fact, Scott's in the Scouts, and they do a lot of work for the cemetery itself. We also are looking for sponsors for different sections. There's approximately, I think, 87 sections out at Evergreen now. And we had about 10 people sign up for them. There's 2 of them there who signed, well, you signed up for 2 different sections. And if anybody's interested in signing up to help maintain a section, you don't have to do a lot of work. It's kind of keeping the tombstones so you can see them after they cut the grass, and picking up the branches and everything. But membership is still open, $15 if anybody's interested. And they have gone into the 21st century. They are now computerizing. Amy's putting about 200 names a day into a database, which will tell you who's buried, when they were buried, where they're buried. It doesn't give you all the information that's on the card, but it gives you start, and then if you want more, she can go to the file card and pull everything out. So there is progress being made. They have approximately 100 trees out there that either need to come down or have some major work done on them at about $1,000 a tree. So it's a lot of money to maintain it. And if you look at the age of that place, those trees are getting to be very old. And the last windstorm did a job on a bunch of them. If you haven't been out there, it took down 2 major trees right at the entrance. And they were lucky with all the trees that came down. I think there was about 2 headstones that had to be redone. And I do not know yet when the next meeting will be. I'll get in touch with the lady and let everybody know if they're interested.
All right, thank you, Mike. We're working on the museum at the office renovation. We're going to do it on Saturday, June 25th. I realize we didn't even set a time. So right now I'm going to set the time at 9 a.m. For those who don't know what that was, we're going to do it at 9 a.m. If anybody would like to help out that day, we're not just working on the museum, we're working on several areas. So if you have an hour or 2 hours or half the day you would like to help us out up that day, we can appreciate it. We're going to go through some old papers, we're going to move a collection of books, we're going to move a second collection of books, we're going to move some furniture, and we're going to go to the museum and start going through it and removing things from the museum that have nothing to do with Campbell County at all, and move those out, probably donate them someplace else, and put more Campbell County related things in the museum, as well as we're going to try to go ahead and have the dentist chair and the dentist office moved in there eventually. So 25th of June is where we're going to meet, 9 a.m. The Campbell collection, the hallway is being worked on. We're going to repaint the walls, put up some new signs, and a few things out there. So as you come up the hallway, you'll notice we've got some changes going on there. We already reported we have a laptop projector now. We were asked if we wanted to be a part of the A.J. Jolly Festival in the lake. After looking into it, we decided that we really weren't going to make any money at all that day. It's not that we want to make a lot of money, but it was going to cost us over $300 just to participate. We knew we'd never make anything close to that back, so we had basically decided not to participate this particular year. Okay, future meetings. And as of tonight, I can say the next meeting is actually going to happen. Up till tonight, I wasn't sure. We're going to go to Southgate African American School on Southgate Street in Newport, which is directly behind the Hofbrau House. For those who've never been on that little tiny street, I mean, it's called Southgate Street, and Southgate was the name of the school. It was Campbell County's only African American school, and we've been struggling for several years to get in there. Finally, we thought we had ourselves in. Then we were almost to the point where we weren't going to go. As of today, we are going. So we'll get back when we do the phone calls. We'll let you know where to park. I mean, there's nothing on that street except this school building and a couple other buildings that are warehouses. So we're going to find, there's 2 or 3 parking lots, but I'm not sure if we can use them that night. So before we have the next meeting, I will find out that information and make sure everybody knows where to park. But Southgate Street, like I said, is right directly behind the Hofbrau House in Newport. So that's where our next meeting is, July 14th.
What if you have to enter that off of Washington Street though?
Saratoga.
Off of Saratoga?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a one-way.
Because it's a one-way street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you park in the school parking lot?
I'm going to find out.
I don't know. We'll look at it.
Construction traffic there.
There's also a parking lot at the end of the street that is probably a parking lot for the warehouse, and there's a liquor store or something on the other side. So I'm going to try to find out if we can't use both those lots just for that evening. We're not taking that much space. The 16th of July is the Backroads Farm Tour, which my cabin will be on it. August 11th, we're going to visit North Kentucky University's log cabin. We still haven't found out exactly where we're going to park that night, so I will find out And when you get called or emailed, we'll let you know what to do about parking for that night. We may carpool from Kroger's lot and go out together. NKU's police are pretty aggressive about parking. So we don't want everybody to go home with a parking ticket that night, so we'll work that out. On September 8th, we're going to be at Water City Building down the street. Mark Schlachter, who was the last on-air personality on WNOP radio, will talk to us. October 13th, we're going to meet at the Newport City Building on Mama Street. Don Tolsman's going to talk about George Wiedemann and the Wiedemann Brewing Company. If you know anybody that worked at Wiedemann, please invite him that night, because we would love for him to come. October 16th, Camp Springs Herb Store. November 10th, we're going to be at the Water City Building. Dick Riesenberg, who's the retired Southgate Fire Chief, is going to talk about the Beverly Hills Fire and everything that he went through that night. And that's also our Board of Directors and Officers election night. And we're going to end the year in Water down the street again with our Christmas social, and the Hills of Kentucky Dulcimers are going to play for us. So that's how we're going to end the year. We're going to start near future working on next year's meetings. So hopefully by July we'll have January and February to tell you about for next year.
Ken?
Yes.
Do we know when the senior citizens picnic is?
We haven't been told yet.
Okay, we usually do set up a table at that event, so.
It's usually on a Wednesday.
Yes, and it's
That's
usually
been
in
moved to
September.
September, right?
It's in September.
Yeah, it used to be earlier.
Oh.
And it wasn't
It's too hot for
them. So we'll find out about that. We might need some volunteers for that day if anybody can help us out. Does anybody else have anything they want to add tonight or something we didn't talk about? Yes.
Let me mention on Sunday, the Rainbridge Museum, where I also volunteer, will have Ronald Blair. He wrote a book on the great Civil War rivalry, the Wild Wolf. His ancestor was Frank Wolford. His army, his cavalry actually chased John Hunt Morgan around, including fairly close to this region. So it's Sunday at 1 o'clock at the Rainbridge Museum in Fort Wright with just a $5 donation. And then June 18th in Covington is Reveling Fest. Local, it's mostly a big party, but they have a history tent there too. So if you want something to do on a Saturday, just in Covington, by the foot of the suspension bridge.
Oh, I just remembered something. I got a call today. Last month, Sharon and Tom Ramler were at the meeting, and they were talking to some people about what's going on in Camp Springs right now. There's a pipeline, raw sewage pipeline that's proposed to go right through that community, and a lot of people in the community are not happy about that because of some of the problems that they think it's going to cause. There's some other routes, there's a lawsuit, there's all kinds of things going on. And someone asked me just the other day what happened, and I didn't know. And they still don't know about the lawsuit. But one thing that did happen is that Neltner's farm, down on that, right where Stonehouse Road and Camp Springs 4 Mile Road come together. There's a little Camp Springs tavern or bar.
Yeah, the Keith knows.
They closed it down. The county came in, or somebody, and said he didn't have a gathering license. And they closed him down. Now, as an organization, we're not going to get into this fight that they're having down there, but it is a very historic region of our county. So that's just that, and he can apply, but it takes a month to get reopened. And they feel like it was a direct result of because the Neltner family and their farm are one of the ones going to be affected greatly by this raw sewage pipeline that's going through. And one of the Neltners owns that Camp Springs
Yeah, Keith
Inn.
Neltner owns it.
Keith Neltner.
Yeah, Keith.
Yeah. So that's.
And has spent a lot of money.
Yeah, oh yes, he was trying to restore it and make it a nice place to go to.
Yeah, it's really, really nice looking now.
Yeah, they should be.
So I guess we never had a gathering license. We're in violation of.
I know, who's heard of a gathering license? So
They're gonna shut us down.
that's all I know.
Apparently somebody.
All right, so I want to thank everybody for bringing all the great food. We have enough food back here to feed us all two more times yet. Be sure to take home your bowl And anything else you brought that you like to take with you, thank you very much for coming tonight, and everybody have a safe trip home.